Good morning. Oh, prayers released. When I thought about that topic, I said, prayers released. It took my attention to the last function of prayer, which is release. And I said, prayers released must have something to do with our prayers being unencumbered by something that we may be thinking. So I asked the question, even though most of us feel like we know the answer. What is prayer? Prayer is a method. Prayer is an opportunity. Prayer is an activity that we use to commune with God. Prayer is a language of spirituality. Prayer is an affirmation of truth. Prayer is a mental action that synchronizes our mind with the mind of God, or the Christ mind. Prayer is a communion within us, I should say, that perfects the consciousness and permanently heals. A prayer release is a prayer without limits and a prayer without conditions. It's a prayer that speaks a word that's free of any thought and free of any idea that is contrary to the desire and the nature of God. Prayers release are ideas, words, and actions that are in ultimately partnership with God. You see, we all have wants and dreams and desires. But the only way those wants and dreams and desires will become a manifestation as an experience in our life is if we are in partnership with God. And those of you who have a partner, you realize that the greater the understanding of your partner, the greater the manifestation in your relationship. Do I need to say that one more time? The greater the understanding of your partner, the greater the manifestation of your relationship. So we want our prayers to be released. We have to have an understanding of our relationship with God. We have to know from a spiritual perspective what and who God is. Charles Fillmore defines God in this manner. He says, God is an inexhaustible resource that always provides in accordance with spiritual law. An inexhaustible resource that is always providing in accordance with spiritual law. Ernest Holmes defined God as a universal presence, an impersonal observer, a divine and impartial giver, forever pouring itself into his creation. Jesus, in John 4:24, he simply defined God as spirit. He said, God is spirit, and we should worship in spirit and truth. Spirit is the one mind that became all. When we worship something, we have the right mental attitude about it. We can't worship something that we don't have the right attitude about. If we praise something, we worship something, we hold it in high esteem, it's because our attitude about it says that that something is special, that something is worthwhile, that something can benefit me, that something will enhance my life. So we worship in spirit and truth. Your truth can only be realized when you are in unity unity with the Christ mind. And then in Matthew 6 and 9, we're all familiar with what Jesus told us then. He taught us the right way to pray. And he started it off by saying, God is our Father, which art in heaven. Father, the source of all spiritual understanding. Heaven, which is the highest state of consciousness that must be in harmony with the Father. The Bible goes on to tell us in the first epistle of John in 4:16 that God is love. And it tells you that if you abide in love, then God abides in you. So it's something that we need to take the first step. We have to abide in love. And when we abide in love, when we embody and demonstrate love, it sends a clear message to everybody in our surroundings that God abides in us. That same epistle in the first chapter and the 5th verse tells us that God is light. It tells us God is not only light, but it also tells us there is no darkness within him. Light represents spiritual understanding, and darkness refers to the ignorance of the sense man. So God is simply spiritual understanding, and it has no concept, no knowledge, no consciousness of anything unlike itself. That's right. So all of the stuff that you're dealing with, all the mess that we get involved in this physical domain, and then we have the nerve to ask God to fix it. And God is oblivious to anything we do. If you ain't loving somebody, if you're not appreciating somebody, if you're not blessing somebody, if you're not giving to somebody, if you're not helping somebody, God will have no idea what you're doing. All that other stuff is not part of it. It's just impossible for them to know. Yes. So you keep on cussing people out if you want to. God ain't in that body. He can't help you with it because he don't realize it. Then in Hebrews 12 and 29, Paul tells these people, he says, look, God is a consuming fire. God is love. God is light. Now Paul comes along and says, God is a consuming fire. What is fire? Fire is a cleansing, purifying power. That's what God is. A cleansing, purifying power. Only it's the most divine one-way street you ever want to get on. That power, as I told you 1,000 times, is no different than the power that's lighting these lights. It has to be pared down at times through a transformer. Otherwise, it will blow this place up. But if you pare it down and run it through the right conduit, it will provide you with everything you need to live and exist on this planet. But you can take that exact same power and run it through without that stuff being pared down, and it will shock you to death. Don't believe me? Do like my little sister did when she was 3 years old. Stick her hairpin in the light side. It'll get you. She still got the imprint on her finger. It explains a few things, but we won't go there. These scriptures that I'm referring to, it's not the Bible's intent or an attempt to define or even prove God's personification. These words describe the nature and character of something that can only be defined as all that there is. We can stay here for 6 months, and there's no way that with our own intellectual mind that we can come up with a description for God. It's way too big for that. We can look in a Hubble telescope and see light years away. We have no idea how expansive, how awesome this power is. So how can we define it? How can we put it in our own little box? Somehow man has figured out a way to do that. And when we put God in that box, when we define it conceptually, our prayers can be held captive by that perception. I said our prayers can be held captive by our perception of God. You see, if you don't know, as we started in here telling you, if you don't know the thing itself, if you don't know the way it works, if you don't know what it does or how to use it, there's no way that it can provide the desires of your life. Prayers may have a hard time getting loose as your dream fulfilled if you have no idea how to relate to this power and this presence that we call God. Now you guys, most of y'all know me, but in case there's somebody in the room that doesn't, I didn't come here today to offend nobody. You know me, and you know that I believe everyone should approach the deity at the level of his or her understanding.
Absolutely.
As Reverend Amon told you last week, if you believe that the blessed oil on your forehead is going to get it done, it's going to get it done.
Come on.
And you don't need to think nothing about it. If it works for you, please let it work for you. Do what you need to do to live the life that you desire. But at the end of the day, if you believe it, it's going to work. But there are those who believe. And there are those who pray to the head honcho of their chosen religion. There are people that believe that God is some faraway being that answers prayers only of those who follow a specific tenet, edict, philosophy, or a particular doctrine. There are those who believe that if you do everything Reverend Jerrold says, if you do everything Reverend Lisa says, if you obey the bishop, if you pay close attention to the rabbi, if you do exactly as the imam says, if you do exactly as the maturity excites you to do, you will be able to persuade God to grant your request. You ain't got to think about it, worry about it, do much. Just listen to what I tell you. Listen to how I interpret Scripture to you. And then you can get down on your knees and persuade God to do what you need him to do. I know nobody here, but some folks actually believe that. Some believe that if you follow all the laws, if you obey all the commandments, if you abide by all the morals prescribed in a particular belief system, then you will gain favor with God. And when you don't have favor, if you don't gain favor, the result is punishment. So let's ask ourselves these questions. When you pray, are you making a request of God? Or are you acknowledging that God has already provided all you desire? When you pray, are you seeking a change? Are you looking for an upgrade? Are you trying to make an improvement in your circumstance or your condition? Or Are you acknowledging a consciousness that knows? A source that is everywhere present, proclaiming its power that is in this giving and healing business. We've asked the questions. Now let's attempt to answer them. When you pray, are you making a request? My answer to that question is emphatically yes. But what I'm requesting is to be open to my spiritual truth. When you pray, are you acknowledging that it's already done? My answer to that is the same, emphatically yes. Because if it didn't exist, I couldn't desire it. Whatever it is that you're trying to get to, whatever it is that you're trying to move away from, whatever it is you're trying to accomplish in your life, if it didn't already exist in the mind of God, you could not perceive it, you could not desire it, and you sure can't get it. That's right. Are you seeking a change? When you pray, are you asking for something to change? The answer is emphatically yes. And the reason the answer is yes is because Spirit is always revealing itself as more. It's got to change. Y'all didn't come here in a covered wagon today. Everybody's car, I don't care what brand it is, got a screen that tells you when to get over, tells you when to stop, tells you what's behind you, plays the music that you spit out of your mouth, dials your phone. Everybody in here got one of them screens in their car. I don't care if it's a Toyota or a Mercedes-Benz. God cannot help but change. He can't help but provide more. When did those things happen in your life? When you decided to connect with that thing that already existed. They had those screens 3,000 years ago in consciousness. They didn't come to fruition until we stepped in consciousness. This omniscient mind, this omnipresent body, this omnipotent soul, like all trilogies, express the oneness of God. Our prayers and meditations, they renew the mind. They empower the soul, and they heal the body. To know the Father is simply to know yourself. Knowing what you are, knowing what you are is paramount, or pivotal, I should say, to knowing the elements of prayer. You have to recognize your relationship with that one mind. You must unify with its presence. You must realize its power in your life. You must be grateful for every expression that is your life, and you have to have the confidence that released prayer doesn't happen unless you have the confidence to let Spirit be spiritual. So when you pray, are you following all of those steps to the letter? We do good with the first three. But sometimes we're lacking by being thankful for that thing that we really didn't want to happen, or we didn't know we wanted it to happen. We get some phone calls, and when we hang up the phone, the first thing that comes to our mouth is not Thanksgiving. But if it happens, if it's your experience, it had to be in line with your partner. God is, he just told you, he's everywhere. There's no spot where he is not. So I don't care what the message is that they left you. They don't only come from one source. And sometimes we have a problem saying thank you for those messages. The other problem that we have is releasing. We have a problem allowing spirit to be spiritual. We want to somehow kind of guide and predict what's going to happen. We don't have the faith to know that it's already happened. We have prayed, we have spoken our word, we go to church every Sunday, we fellowship, we have put tithes in the basket. Yet, we still trying to figure it out ourselves. Whenever you are in harmony with God, you're in the position to experience what you ask for. If you are in harmony with each other, you're in a position to experience what they ask, believing. I didn't say ask, begging and beseeching. I said ask, believing. So we must always remember the lesson we learned back in January. The thing itself plays no favorites. It's a limitless power that's always at your disposal. It is a divine nature that lives, moves, and has its being within each and every one of us. The way God works is through one universal mind. It works through us, and it gives us as much as we can embody and believe. If you don't have it, if it's not a part of your experience up to now, it's not because it doesn't exist. It's not because you are not entitled. It's because you have not fully embodied it and believed it. What does God do? Nothing but love you unconditionally. Nothing but provide you with an impersonal law that works for all who use it. Nothing but reveal truth to you that will illuminate your mind. Here comes the big one. How do we use all this? How do we use it? We must do more than just announce the principle. We must do more than just speak our words. We must do more than just affirm our truth. We must do more than just tell everybody what we're gonna do. We gotta demonstrate something. The only way God can work is if it works through us. The only way your prayers will be answered if you experience it within you. We must always know that there's no way that God will punish us. That the problem that we perceive, something that we should treat for, but we shouldn't treat for the problem. We should treat to change our mind. We don't need to pray to get rid of nothing. We need to pray to accept the truth about who we are. We need to realize that there are no obstacles in our way. Because when we change our consciousness, all of the obstacles disappear. Then, and only then, do we become more like the divine one called Jesus. You see, Jesus communed with God at all levels, at all times, and for all reasons. He truly prayed without ceasing. Scripture tells us that he prayed alone. In Luke 5:16, after healing the leper, he departed into the wilderness to pray, the scripture says. The wilderness is where we go to gain control of our undisciplined thoughts. You see, leprosy, if you've ever seen a picture of what it looks like, leprosy represents our spiritual truth that's unrecognizable. When you have that disease, your spiritual truth you don't look too good. So that is pure and whole and complete about you is covered with an appearance that makes you believe that your spiritual truth is not being fulfilled. In Psalms 46 and 10, it says, "Be still and know that I am God." The true spiritual self is your refuge. Because when you're still, you can find it within yourself to control and minimize those physical things that are impacting you. It's in the stillness is where you find a place of peace. It's in the stillness is when you can affirm your truth. When you be still and know you're in a prime position to do what they call in my new profession, self-care. I don't care how many churches you go to or how often you've been going. I don't care what kind of job you have. I don't care how much money you make. I don't care what you do every day of your life, good, bad, and different. If you don't sit your butt down and quiet your mind and relax and let go, you have a problem. We must still ourselves. We must take care of this temple. We must get the pressure off the mind. Get that pain out the body. The only way you can do that is to be still and know. Jesus also prayed with other folks. In Luke 9:28, after he fed them with the fish and the bread, y'all remember that? They say he went to the mountain to pray. But this time he didn't go by himself. He took Simon, James, and John with him. Why did he take those two? Because he knew that communing with faith, wisdom, and love would give him unlimited potential. So when you get ready to do your next prayer treatment work, remember to take faith, wisdom, and love in the room with you. Because if you leave them out, that prayer might not get released. In the book of Acts, 1st chapter, 13th verse, it talks about the disciples, along with Mary, the mother, Mary Magdalene. They all got together, they went to the upper room, and they had a collective prayer. And because all 12 faculties were there in unison, because love and devotion and compassion had their arms wrapped around all of these 12 men of spiritual intellect, they were able to leave that room and manifest an attitude of gratitude that the scripture refers to as Matthias. To take the place of your selfish, egotistical, greedy selves. He prayed for others. Matthew 19 and 13 talks about how he prayed for the children. What are the children? The children are your spiritual ideas seeking to be done. They ain't fully grown yet. Spirit is always fully grown. But when we are seeking to realize our spiritual truth, we are seeking to get to the highest level of understanding, the scripture refers to us as what? Children of Israel trying to get to the promised land. Yes. Jesus demonstrated how to pray. He demonstrated when you pray, and he demonstrated what we were praying to. When he had an affirmation, or when he offered a prayer, he batted 100%. Every word out of his mouth came to manifest exactly how he spoke. his concept of God. It was the foundation of his relationship with God. It was his new testimony about God that made him have that perfect batting average. According to metaphysician and theologian Jerrold Goldsmith, the hardest part of our spiritual journey is to rise above the old concepts of God. The hardest part, I've said it before, is not learning, it's unlearning that stuff that doesn't serve us. You see, this world, since the beginning of humanity, has been waiting for God to intervene, has been waiting for God to swoop down, drop down, come down, fall down, and fix it. In all these 1,000 years, God awaits our intervention. We waiting for him, he waiting for you. In his book, The Contemplative Life, he says this. He says, there is nothing that you know about God that is God. There is no possible thought you can have about God that is God. And any idea or concept is not God. Now, when I read that, I had to go, That's, that ain't easy to wrap your mind around. But let me simplify it for you. What he's saying is, God is not an idea in your mind. He's telling you that you are an idea in the mind of God. We must rise above our concept of God. That old way of thinking of God being something away from us. Something that's monitoring us, something that's punishing us, something that is dictating to us. We have to move away from that concept and experience God's presence within us. So no matter where your concept came from, no matter where this consciousness was developed, it could have been developed in a Hebrew setting. It could be an Islamic belief. It could be Protestant or Catholic. It could be an Oriental Eastern philosophy. None of those things have done anything to bring peace to this world or you as an individual. The world has always been in a state of unrest and fear, aggression. Just us in this room, we represent a small picture, a small space in time of all of history. But in our lifetime, there's been at least 3 major wars in our lifetime. And no one's existing concept of God has done a thing to stop it. No one. As a matter of fact, or should I say in my opinion, most of the turmoil started in the name of the God of someone's religion. Right now as we sit, we have no assurance that the evils of wars, poverty, or disease will not come into our dwelling place. What we need is a God experience, not a concept. We need to experience our truth. We need to feel and know the presence of God within us. Because as each and every one of us has that God experience, remember, God doesn't know what war is. He doesn't know what hatred is. He doesn't know what jealousy is. He doesn't know what all of these things that we chose to accept in our lives didn't come from him. So if we eliminate those things, if we move those things out of our consciousness, where's the war going to come from? Who is going to drop the bomb? Who is going to initiate laws of segregation? Who's going to declare a specific people as non-human? Who's going to do that kind of stuff? They couldn't do it if it didn't exist in the heart and the mind and the spirit of humanity. And I know you're sitting there saying it ain't your fault, but you're human.
That's right. That's right.
And there's somebody you do not like.
That's right.
There's somebody that you're talking about on a daily basis. There's somebody that you wouldn't pour water on if they was on fire. All you metaphysicians in here, you good Christian folk. Me too. It ain't just you. Me too. I'm part of me too. But the reality is, if those thoughts and ideas did not exist in our minds and in our hearts, there would be no war. There would be no disease. All this stuff that we praying to God to fix would not need fixing. So we have to change our concept of what God is and what God does and how we deal with it. We deal with Him by becoming one with Him. Religion has given us some good things. I don't want to take nothing of it. Y'all know how much I love church. We've had some noble ideas, some philanthropic things, music, art, literature. A lot of things we wouldn't know if it wasn't for the church. But what's missing, or what has been missing for thousands of years, is the God experience. The experience of God in us and in the church. Our prayers are released through our God experience. The attainment of God is something that we must individually experience. We're talking about the big picture. We're talking about the greater good of humanity, but it all starts with me. It all starts with you. We can't change it as a group. That's one of the problems y'all got. If you could change it as a group, the election would have gone different. You can't make it a change this one impact the world as a group. You got to make the change in here. And if you make the change in each individual, then the group will be everybody. And everything you get from that group will be right. Each of us will experience a realization of God in proportion to our readiness and devotion to receive it. Those of us who are ministers, those of us who are practitioners, knows that what Jesus said was right. I can of my own self do nothing. When the Master said, if I bear witness of myself, my witness is not true. So you, PhD, you, millionaire, NBA, billion-dollar baby, you ain't gonna make the playoffs, Brian. You can't do it. It ain't about you. It's about having the God experience within you. Yes. It's about keeping everybody on the same page, going the same direction, having the same idea. That's the team that's going to win the championship. Yes. Yes. The only time you have been responsible for your healing or anybody else's healing is in when some measure in your prayer, some glimmering from your treatment, some idea from your meditation has caused you to actually feel the presence of God within you and release all fear. When you feel God's presence and you release all the fear, your prayer is going to be answered. Your prayers will be released. But only when you attain a heavenly level of consciousness or realize God's presence, that's when your prayers will be released. The other thing that we need to do in our prayer is realize the nothingness of all those things that we see with our eyes that have nothing to do with God. So we got two ways to go here. We can have a God experience. We can feel his presence. Or we can get rid of all that mess that's in our mind. Get rid of it. When it's no longer there, your prayer will take its place. When you experience God's truth, you're not being favored by God. It just means that you caught a glimpse. You touched the hem of that garment. You've caught a glimpse of his presence. It doesn't care how many scriptures you can quote. It doesn't care how many doctorates in theology that you have. When your chips are down, when the rubber meets the road, when you're faced with something like an incurable disease, all the wisdom that you have, all the affirmations that have come out of your mouth, all of the Bible that you have read, nor your religion that you claim will heal you. Your ability to realize and feel the presence of God within you is the only thing that's going to heal you. Your ability to realize and feel the presence of God within you is the only thing that's going to heal you. Only a consciousness that dismisses the nothingness that is appearing before you. I know what it looks like. I know what the doctor said. I know what your experience has been. I know it's painful to get out of bed. But when you realize that anything that you experience that has nothing to do with God could not have come from God, when you remove that from your consciousness, then you can have an experience with God. As long as you keep praying to God to heal the sick, as long as you keep praying to God for your supply, as long as you keep praying to God for your peace, you are not seriously approaching the highest level of spiritual living. The first step on that spiritual path is to acknowledge we need not to pray stating or asking for what we desire. We need to pray to an all-knowing power and present and infinite wisdom that already knows what we want. Think about it. Y'all been here for a while. How much time have you spent telling God what you want? As if he don't know. As if he ain't paying attention to you until you start talking. God already knows what your issues are. I take that back. God don't know nothing about your issues. You know what your issues are. But he knows what your healing is. The God that is our partner, the God that we pray to, is a God of divine love. And it's his nature to give us everything we need. God is too awesome for us to intellectualize with our human mentality. So unless, or should I say, it's useless to ask God for what we want. It's useless to ask what God is. God is a power. And what gives us power is knowing that God is. What you call God can't help you. What God is can help you. Once we acknowledge that God is love and that God is love, once we know that God is a creative, maintaining, sustaining principle, once we know that you can set yourself free from all of these old concepts of God, the prayers released will be prayers of acknowledgement. They won't be beseeching, begging, oh, help me, Father, prayers. There'll be prayers that acknowledge the truth about your relationship with God. A prayer that acknowledges that there's an infinite something that's invisible yet intelligent. There's a something that is lawful yet loving. There's something that is powerful yet sustaining. And when you ask that something, you're not begging that something, you're not beseeching that something, you're acknowledging and speaking and knowing about that something. In all thy ways acknowledge him, and he shall do what? Direct your path. So when we become receptive to the God whose kingdom is within us, you will arrive at a point of true recognition. And regardless of what's going on around you, regardless of any sin that you think you may have committed, regardless of any lack or injustice or inequity that may be before you, you won't have to waste your time trying to fight them off. You won't have to get down on your knees and attempt to pray them away. Because you know that he within you is greater than all those problems that are outside of you. You won't ask for help. Because you know that God is health. And having health is having a God experience within you. You won't ask, and I'm getting ready to step on some toes now, brothers. Some of you have been here a long time. It's a waste of time to ask God to extend your life. God can't give it to you. God is life. And when you have the God experience within you, you have eternal life. So quit begging for days. You don't need days, you need spirit. You don't need to be here a long time. You need to know why you're here and make the best of the time you got. The day you stop thinking that God is going to overcome anything and start believing that there's nothing to overcome. The day that you know that God only knows himself and it doesn't have any consciousness of anything else. Then it will be time to release your prayers from that concept of asking to a concept of knowing. Approach life with the spirit within you that knows all that there is to know. This message this month is about prayer. Jesus took time to lay it out for you. He didn't let you guess. Everybody was begging, everybody was asking him, Father, what is it about you? Why is it that when you speak your word, something happens? Why is it that we're still running around trying to figure things out and you've been able to heal everybody? You've been able to bring all of these men who were living worldly, shameful lives together and make them a spiritual unit of 12. You took a woman who was the lowest, most hated, most disrespected, most worthless female on the block and turned her into your bride. You've done all these magnificent things. How did you do it? So he decided to teach you how to pray. He decided to give you a prayer of acknowledgement, a prayer of knowing, not asking. He said, Our Father which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. That's an acknowledgement of spirit as the highest consciousness and a holy nature. He said, Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, as in heaven, so on earth. That's an acknowledgement of a divine idea that comes producing perfection and spirituality as well on the physical plane. He said, just give me some bread that I need every day. You provide substance of daily truth. He said, forgive our offenses and we forgive those who have offended us. That's an acknowledgement that when you free yourself from false beliefs and false belief about yourself, your prayers can be realized. He says, don't lead us into temptation, but deliver us from evil, for thine is the kingdom and the power and the glory forever. Amen. That's an acknowledgement that if you keep yourself from physical distractions, if you remove all the spiritual ignorance that you've been taught, for you, all-knowing, all-powerful, highest state of spiritual consciousness will come into your life, and then you can say, and so it is. When you realize your prayers and stop praying to something and stop praying as something, your prayers will be released. You don't have to worry about what's going to happen. All you have to worry about is what's happening within you. Take a closer look. Don't make excuses, but don't get down on yourself. Just know that the power and presence of God is all that there is. It can't be anything other than that. And if you are experiencing that within your mind, if you are holding that close to your heart, if you're using that to guide and lead your activity, what you want will automatically be. What you need will automatically come into existence. What you pray to, what you pray for, and how you pray will get fixed in an instant as soon as you stop praying to and start praying as. God bless you.